Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week. Nothing in this world is permanent, except the truth that things are temporary, and though some things may last a very long time, nothing lasts forever. In this video, this applies specifically to stores. You may have grown up with a favorite store, or still have a store you enjoy for nostalgia's sake, but some of the stores you loved or that you thought would never go away have, in fact, closed down. Though there's many reasons a store may shutter, such as mismanagement, low sales, or an economic recession, bankruptcy tends to be the most common cause. Let's take a trip down nostalgia memory lane and talk about 10 such stores right now. Number 10. Circuit City. The famous Circuit City was first established in 1949 under the name Ward's Company. Their business peaked around the 1970s and 1980s, during which time they became the go-to consumer electronics store for all Americans. They were at the forefront of pioneering the new big box concept by making their stores a one-stop retail shop for all varieties of electronic goods, from televisions and stereos to refrigerators and automobiles. Their growth was booming, and at their peak, they had 1,520 stores across the United States and Canada. However, everything went downhill for Circuit City when a CBS News analysis attributed that these large stores were too impersonal and highlighted the fact that they were paying no commissions to the sales team. When the financial crisis hit them in 2007, wages were being cut, branches being closed, while management turnover became high. After 60 years of operation, the decision was made in 2009 to shut down Circuit City once and for all. Number 9. A&P. The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, more commonly known to the people as just A&P, was first established in 1859. Back in the day, A&P was initiated as a mail-order business and had a few tea and coffee shops in New York. Over time, it was turned into a full-on grocery store, during which time the business blossomed. They were the largest grocery retailer in the United States from 1915 to 1975, and the largest retailer of any kind in the United States until 1965. By now you must be wondering how such a successful business bit the dust. Well, they had roughly 16,000 stores in the country. It seems that many stores for the chain was too large and unwieldy to keep under proper control. By the 1970s, the stores got conceptually stale and plagued by horrible customer service. The chain filed for bankruptcy in 2010 and 2015, and their last store closed in 2016, thereby marking the end of an era. Number 8. F.W. Woolworth Company. The Woolworth Company was founded by Frank Winfield Woolworth in 1879. Initially, it started with a few stores called Woolworth's Great 5-Cent Store, where cheap factory-made merchandise was sold for a nickel or two. Later on, he brought in his brother, Charles Sumner Woolworth, to form Woolworths, which would go on to become the first brand to expand internationally with over 5,000 stores worldwide. In fact, in the mid-1970s, they apparently had a new store opening every 17 days. However, after World War II, growth began to slow down as a result of rising competitors. Stiff competition, especially from discount retailers, forced them to close their branches. Even though they purchased Foot Lockers, which are still operational today, the Woolworth variety stores closed completely all around the world in 1997. However, a few dozen Woolworth stores do still continue to exist in Mexico, but under different ownership. It is said that Woolworth's retailing ideas are still used in several businesses today. Number 7. Sam Goody. Established in 1951 in New York City by Sam Goody, the store was originally a small music shop. Over the years, business began to boom, and Sam Goody became the flagship store for the music industry, selling records and CDs. They merged with Musicland to expand their business. At their peak, Sam Goody had over 800 stores in the U.S. and brought in several $1 billion worth of revenue. In fact, they recorded 7% of the nation's sales in 1955. However, a while later, Sam sold the ownership to the American Can Company, after which ownership changed multiple times. The business model was altered several times to try to keep up with the digital revolution in music. But Sam Goody stores faltered and began to shut down one by one. By 2012, almost all of the stores were gone, and those that were left were eventually rebranded to FYE stores. Number 6. Borders. After the Gutenberg Revolution, which revolutionized printing, books have always been in demand. And before the invention of the internet, people fulfilled their desires to learn or enjoy interesting stories through reading books. This high demand inspired the formation of mega bookstore chains, and Borders was one of them. Since their establishment in 1978 in Michigan, Borders had expanded to over 500 locations in the U.S. at their peak. However, matters Business went downhill for Borders when they struggled to remain in business for many years. At the critical tipping point when everyone was beginning to go digital, much of Borders' stock consisted of CDs and DVDs. They also failed to develop an online store whilst their competitors had already moved into the online space. After making no profit since 2006, Borders officially filed for bankruptcy in 2011. All of its stores were shut down for liquidation, and their trademark was bought by their rival chain, Barnes & Noble. Number 5. Fry's Electronics. Fry's Electronics began its operations in Sunnyvale, California back in 1955, with the aim of providing a completely new type of shopping experience for electronics customers. They wanted to make electronics shopping similar to grocery shopping. They sold software, consumer electronics, household appliances, cosmetics, tools, toys, accessories, magazines, technical books, snack foods, electronic components, and computer hardware. Not only that, but they also provided in-store computer repair and custom computing building services. In fact, Fry's used to be one of the few places you could buy raw computer parts off the shelf to assemble a PC on your own. At their peak in 2019, they had 34 stores in 9 states, but things went south for them shortly after. All of a sudden in 2021, Fry's decided to cease operations. In their general report, they stated the reason for closure being the ever-changing retail industry and the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 4. Linens and Things. Formed in 1975 in New Jersey, Linens and Things were on the path to becoming a very large and successful niche retailer for housewares and home textiles. They grew considerably over the years and, at their peak, had 589 stores all over the country. It seemed things were only looking up for them, but the end was coming. Like most businesses in this video, Linens and Things also became a victim of acquisitions and management changes. As a result, they found themselves in a serious financial crisis caused by other additional factors such as a falling in housing sales and increasing prices for Chinese goods. They also had a debt burden of $160 million. In 2008, the company wanted to plan and reorganize the business, but they were forced to have a liquidation sale instead. However, they came back as an exclusively online retailer in 2009, but ceased operations again in 2018. Number 3. Radio Shack. Radio Shack was founded by the Deutschman brothers in Boston in 1921. Their main aim was to provide equipment such as radios and electronics, especially focused towards ham radio operators. They operated in this profitable market for decades, with demand only increasing during the new computer and video game age. In fact, at one point, their booming business had a staggering number of 7,300 stores across America, and they could claim to have a store within 3 miles of every American household. Radio Shack also produced the first widely available home computer, the TRS-80, which gained considerable popularity. However, with the introduction of online shopping and a fall in the number of hobbyists, they started to face difficulties. After filing for bankruptcy in 2017, the company had to close down its stores and was no longer the major retailer it once was. Nevertheless, they still have a few stores, although under different ownerships and an operational website. Number 2. Toys R Us. Have you ever wanted to become a Toys R Us kid? Who didn't? Over 70 years ago, when the chain was first established, it aimed to sell only children's furniture. However, they became a dreamland for children when they started to sell everything from toys to video games to books to bikes. Everything that a child could possibly want. They became the #1 store for children's products in the US. However, like many others, they too struggled to keep up with the changing times. Eventually, they struggled to compete with mass market stores and online shops such as Amazon, and finally declared bankruptcy in 2017. They had closed most of their stores by 2018, with the last 2 shutting down in 2021, which was a depressing and nostalgic moment for many. Nevertheless, some Toys R Us stores can still be found in Canada and Asia. Number 1. Blockbuster. After the creation of the VCR, the home movie rental business became one of the largest industries to emerge. Back then, the only way to watch a new release was to go to the theater. Blockbuster was established in 1985 to later on become the entertainment giant of the world. They had 9,000 different locations in the US alone, with over 30,000 branches worldwide. They also had 65 million registered customers and were worth $3 billion at their peak. However, they lost out to the advancement of technology when streaming services and mail-in DVD options became available over the years. Soon after, Blockbuster declared bankruptcy. With over $900 million in debt, they began shutting down their stores. Now, only a single store remains in Bend, Oregon. That is all for today's video. Thank you all for watching. While you're here, go ahead and click on one of these 2 videos on your screen. See you there!